What is the main difference between a cello, a violin, and a double bass? We'll start off with a structural composition example. You will see that for a violin and a cello have more rounded edges, while a double bass has more of sloped shoulders composition. It looks like it has sloped shoulders. So compared to this is well rounded and this is a bit sloped. Number two, we can look at the strings. So a cello is tuned in perfect fifths, and so is a violin. But for a double bass, it's tuned in fourths, and that's why it requires a wider grip or a wider hand. You understand me? For a cello, it is wide, but it is not as wide as what you require to play first position on the double bass. And of course, for a violin, it's much the fingers are much the spaces are much smaller. But the cello and the violin are both tuned in perfect fifths. The other structural differences are a double bass does not come with fine tuners. These two come with fine tuners. A cello and a violin come with fine tuners. A double bass does not. All of them have, apart from here and the fine tuners, everything else is pretty much the same. The only other difference there is the sizes, of course. By now you have noticed that a violin is much smaller and a cello, fun fact, is twice the size of a double bass. And that's why it is called a double bass, because it is double the size, double the bass of a cello. Okay, that's so cool. So if you want to tune a double bass, use these tuners here. If you want to tune a cello or a violin, you can use this, or you can use the fine tuners, tuning pegs or fine tuners. The other difference is that a violin has a chin rest, the other two do not. We are coming into the second difference, where the difference lies in how they are played. A violin is played like this, placed on the chin. A cello, you have to sit down, and then this rests on your left side. If you're right-handed, for the cello, it will rest on your left side, okay? It will lie on your left side, and then you have to place, there's an end pin down here, I don't know if you can see it, that helps support it on the ground, and you have to use a rock stop or a stopper. You have to use something like this for a cello to place it on the ground. This goes where your seat is, to support it on the ground. Mine is quite worn out and it's still on the shape of a cello. For the double bass, you can either play it while standing or sitting on a stool, because it's quite high, and if you sit on a normal chair, it will be quite hard for you to have access to first position and maybe perhaps second position. Now we are going into how this the bow, the technique of the bow. This is a violin bow, and the violin has four strings. All of them have four strings, right? But the violin, the highest string on the violin is E, A, followed by D and G. And this is the thickness of a violin bow. You'll allow me to put the violin down. You can see that the violin bow is a bit thin, followed by a cello bow, which the hairs are a bit thicker, but the size is pretty much the same. except for a cello bow, it's slightly longer, but not always, okay? See? And then followed by a double bass bow, which is sometimes the same size of a cello bow, just a bit bigger and thicker. You can see? Yeah. So these are the differences. They're the same size as the cello bow, just that the double bass bow is thicker. For the strings of the cello, the highest is A, the next is D, G, and C. C is the lowest string of a cello. The lowest string on a bass is E, followed by A, followed by D, and the highest is a G. So it is literally the same strings as a violin, just inverted. The lowest string on a violin is a G, the highest string on a violin is a G. The highest string on a violin is an E, and the lowest string on a bass is an E. So they're just the same strings, just that they have been inverted, yeah? And the same goes for a cello and a viola. So cello strings are the same as a viola, just inverted as well. All of these instruments are considered the violin family. A long time ago, they used to be called the viol family, but that's only because they used to comprise of 6 or 7 strings and they had frets. Modern day stringed instruments board stringed instruments do not have frets, and that's why they have been renamed as the violin family. But originally, all stringed instruments came from the viola. So the viola is literally the mother of stringed instruments. The violins will not accept that, but that's the truth. They all came from the viola family, from the viola. You have also noticed how you hold a cello bow, a double bass bow, and a violin bow are different. So this is the bow hold of a cello. This is the bow hold of a violin. You notice that for the violin, you have to place your pinky on top, and for the cello, you have to place it on this eye right here. And unless you have any other questions, that's just about the main differences between a cello, a violin, and a double bass. I have not touched on the repertoire. If you have any more questions, you can always ask in the comments, and I'll be more than happy to reply. So thank you.